Good morning. Our prelude today is Here Comes the Sun by George Harrison.
Welcome to First Unitarian Church of Orlando. I'm Linnea Nelson, a member of the worship team. Loretta Williams wrote these words of how we are called as Unitarian Universalists. We, bearers of the dream, affirm that a new vision of hope is emerging. We pledge to work for that community in which justice will be actively present. We affirm that there is struggle yet ahead, yet we know that in the struggle there is hope for the future. We affirm that we are co-creators of the future, not passive pawns, and we stand united in affirmation of our hope and vision of a just and inclusive society. If you'd like to know more about our congregation, go to orlandouu.org or email WelcomeTeam@orlandouu.org. And after service today at 11:30, all are invited to a time of informal fellowship. We gather and go into breakout rooms to take time to catch up with each other. If you're new and want more information about our congregation, one of the breakout rooms is a welcome center, where there will be several lay leaders to give you more information on our congregation. All are welcome. And today we have a special drive-up event on campus from 1 to 3 p.m. It's our Spring Fling at 1U, hosted by our Religious Enrichment for Children and Youth program. It's for the whole church. You can help us plant okra seeds to take home, have fun washing bottle tops for a future campus bench, celebrate our graduates, get free art supplies as we're cleaning out our classrooms before we restock, and especially to say goodbye to Sarah Gray as she steps down from her leadership. There's lots of fun for everyone, but come down to the campus today from 1 to 3. And from me, as we say goodbye to Sarah, I share my appreciation for her clear and compassionate work with our children and families. I know that our religious education program requires support from all of us, and that is one of the reasons my husband Ted and I give as generously as we can to 1U. RE takes a village and is the core of supporting family life at 1U. I hope you give generously today as you make your offering to support RE and the many ministries of this congregation. You can go to orlandouu.org and click the donate button in the upper right corner. Send a check or send a text. You're also invited to support one of our community partners in our Share the Plate program. In May, we are supporting IDignity that helps the disadvantaged get personal identification. Here's how you can give to Share the Plate. It's great being together again. Now, let's continue with worship.
Enter, rejoice, and come in. Enter, rejoice, and come in. Today will be a joyful day. Enter, rejoice, and come in. Open your ears to the song. Open your ears to the song. Today will be a joyful day. Enter, rejoice, and come in. Open your hearts, everyone. Open your hearts, everyone. Today will be a joyful day. Enter, rejoice, and come in. Don't be afraid of some change. Don't be afraid of some change. Today will be a joyful day. Enter, rejoice, and come in. Enter, rejoice, and come in. Enter, rejoice, and come in. Today will be a joyful day. Enter, rejoice, and come in.
Each of us brings a separate truth here. We don't come as empty vessels, but as full people, each with our own story and our own truth. We seek to add to our truths and add to our stories. This room is rich with truth, rich with experience. All manner of people are here, needy, joyful, frightened, anxious, bored. May we all recognize the truth and the story in other lives than our own. May we hear and honor the truths that we all bring as we gather together. Together we have truths. Together we have stories. Together we are a community. Come, let us worship together.
Good morning. I am Paul Knight, and I am the current President-elect of 1U. As Unitarian Universalists, we light a chalice at the beginning of worship to remind us to set aside this time as a sacred time, as a time to pause and reflect and to be present as we worship together. Please say with me our familiar words to signal our start of worship today. In the light of truth and in the warmth of love, we gather to seek, sustain, and to share.
Good morning, everyone. It's lovely to be with you here today. So, quick question for you. Has there ever been a time in your life where you maybe felt like you didn't quite fit in, like maybe you didn't quite belong in the group that you were a part of? I know that that's happened to me, especially when I was younger. I have very vivid memories of being in high school. I was one of just a small handful of Unitarian Universalist kids, and that kind of shaped my worldview and how I acted. I thought about things a lot differently than a lot of my peers, especially my friends who went to, big Christian mega churches. Like we just had different thoughts about the way the world worked. So I had friends, but I never felt like I 100% fit in. I was really involved in my youth group at my church, and we started going to the mountain, which is a UU camp up in North Carolina. And there it was very, very different. A lot of my worldview, the way I thought about the world, was more accepted, but I also still didn't feel like I fit in 100% because of how I dressed and acted and presented myself. I'm really going to date myself here, but at that time I wore Abercrombie jeans and I listened to NSYNC, and that was considered kind of preppy and didn't make me fit in, like maybe culturally, with as many of my peers who thought about the world and religion in the same way that I did. So they accepted me and I had friends, but I just never felt like I quite fit in there either. So it was kind of a weird balance. I didn't feel like I fit in 100% at my school, and I didn't feel like I fit in 100% at my church with my fellow UUs. And that's kind of a weird space to navigate. As I got older, I came to terms with, hey, this is who I am, this is how I think, and I found my core group of people, my family, my people that I belong to, and I feel very content with my sense of belonging at this point in my life. But it's an uphill battle. It's a struggle when you don't necessarily feel like you fit in 100%. So in our story today, called Neither, we're going to explore the tale of a little creature born in the land of this or that, where he doesn't really fit in, and his or her journey to discover themselves and a place where everyone is welcome. So join me as we read Neither by Aubrey Anderson. Neither by Aubrey Anderson. Once upon a time, there were two kinds, this and that. These and those. One or the other. Until... Honk! What kind are you? I'm both. You can't be both. You must be neither. I'm neither. Neither tried to play a this game. You can't play with us. You're not rabbity enough. Neither tried to play a that game. You can't play with us. You're not birdie enough. Why don't you find somewhere else? You're not one of us. You're neither. 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 So off he flew. I wonder where he's going. Where did you come from? Honk. I'm from the land of this and that, but I'm neither. So I'm looking for somewhere else to fit in. This isn't somewhere else, but you'll fit in here. Where is here? The land of all. So many different kinds. All these different kinds that we see. Come play with us. But I'm different from everyone here. I'm neither red, nor orange, nor yellow, nor blue. Exactly. Excuse us. We're from the land of this and that, but we don't fit in at home. We are looking for somewhere else. But you said I was neither. You said I should go somewhere else. Well, this isn't somewhere else. This is the land of all. and everyone fits in here. Once upon a time, there were many kinds, this and that, somewhat and whatnot, either, very, sort of, just, rather, a little, neither and both. And all were welcome.
And now we enter a time of mindfulness, of meditation and prayer. As a community of care and connection, we honor both the successes and the challenges of life, both the milestones and the millstones. And we honor the unspoken sorrows of our hearts, for we know that the light of the sacred shines into the broken places of our lives and all life. Together, let's take a deep breath, mindful of how this simple act declares our interdependence with each other and with all. Our meditation this morning is from our colleague in ministry, Kendall Gibbons. Following the meditation, I'll have a short prayer, followed by silence, where you may also insert in the communion of names, using notes or comments, anyone in your life who needs prayer, remembering, or honoring. From Kendall Gibbons. Out of a community of diverse heritage and belief, we come together to share our hope and to create good in the world. The prophets of all traditions and times have taught that we are called to mercy, generosity, and mutual care, and that to be great is to serve. We know there can be no enduring happiness for humanity as long as suffering and want go unrelieved. Until all may be sheltered, none of us is truly at home. May the power of our various faiths sustain us in this work, that we may be the hands of the holy, creativity and justice, and together build a better world. Spirit of life, of love, Spirit that hears each of us, that knows the secret places of our hearts, that knows our true selves, though we often bring down a veil to hide ourselves from others. Here, now, we breathe of the life we share together. Remind us, gracious love, that we are stronger together in our diversity than we are in our sameness. Give us a spirit of holy curiosity and possibility, a commitment to hear one another, so that we might celebrate who we are together, a community of mercy, generosity, and mutual care. And so we are mindful of the sufferings in our community and the world. We pray for all those who are hurting in any manner of body, mind, or spirit. For these and for all, we pray for a greater sense of peace, fulfillment, health, vigor, relationship, abundance, and sufficiency in all things. Now, with the private meditations of our hearts, we enter the silence and the communion of names. And so it is, and so it shall be. Amen. Blessed be.
With heart and mind and voice and hand, may we this time and place transcend, to make our purpose understood, a mortal search for mortal good, a firm commitment to the goal of justice, freedom, peace for all. died so we could be a church where every mind is free. A heart that's kind, a heart whose search makes love the spirit of our church, where we can grow and each one's gift is sanctified and spirits lift, where every door is open wide for all who choose to step inside.
Good morning. I am Karen Ramberg, a member here at First Unitarian Church of Orlando. This morning, our reading is by Reverend Marjorie Bowens Wheatley. The title is Litany of Restoration. If, recognizing the interdependence of life, we strive to build community, the strength we gather will be our salvation. If you are black and I am white, it will not matter. If you are female and I am male, it will not matter. If you are older and I am younger, it will not matter. If you are progressive and I am conservative, it will not matter. If you are straight and I am gay, it will not matter. If you are Christian and I am Jewish, it will not matter. If we join spirits as brothers and sisters, the pain of our aloneness will be lessened, and that does matter. In this spirit, we build community and move toward restoration.
Building bridges between our divisions, I reach out to you, will you reach out to me? With all of our voices and all of our visions, friends, we can make such sweet harmony. Building bridges between our divisions, I reach out to you, will you reach out to me? Building bridges between our divisions, I reach out to you, will you reach out to me? Building bridges between our divisions, friends, we can make such sweet harmony. Building bridges between our divisions, I reach out to you, will you reach out to me? Friends, we could make such sweet harmony. Friends, we can make such sweet harmony. Building bridges between our divisions, I reach out to you, will you reach out to me? With all of our voices and all of our visions, friends, we can make such sweet harmony.
Good morning. Welcome. We start all of our Sunday morning services with a welcome, which is both inspiring and comforting. We welcome all, no matter what color, sexuality, whatever background, they are welcome here. And we encourage them to bring their whole selves. Now, and that's who we should be, that's who we are. But I sometimes wonder when after service and we go over to Gore Hall to have coffee and people start talking, and particularly to a newcomer, and they'll say, oh, one of the really great things around here is being with like-minded people. Really? Now, I know like-minded people is a common phrase, but words have meaning and words have consequences. So what are we really telling this newcomer? That you are welcome here? You just have to think like we do. Is that particularly welcoming? Because I contend it's not the way we think that binds us together in community. It's our shared values. It's our principles. And that I think differently than many of the people in this congregation, and I know they think differently than I. And that's good. That's great. We need diversity of thought. But I also know that when I'm talking to a member of this congregation, and they're coming from something and I don't quite understand, that I try and listen very intently to what they're trying to say, because I know that I will learn a new perspective, I will see things differently, and I know it's based on a similar set of values, and that between the two of us, we will reach some truth. The question I have is, can we learn to do that for everyone, not just the members of this congregation, but can we truly learn and listen and seek for that shared value, that shared truth? Now, I grew up UU, and I was unchurched for much of my adult life, but I always considered myself Universalist Unitarian and strove to live by its values and its principles. When I retired here to Florida and I started attending First Unitarian, it was with great joy that I heard those words of welcome. They were much needed for me. I had spent the last part of my career in a corporation dominated by the culture of white conservative men. And I soon found out that I couldn't freely espouse my liberal points of view because that would only serve to allow them to further marginalize me or dismiss me, and it ruined my effectiveness. So I learned to live my values quietly, without speaking them out loud. Now, I was fortunate that I worked in a company that had a credo, and I'm not sure I could have worked in a company that didn't have a credo, because sometimes ethical or thorny issues would come up, and I could always say, oh, here, this is what the credo says. This is what we should do. And we weren't saying my values versus their values. We were discussing what are the company's values. And I found that extremely useful. So when I came here and I heard the words of welcome and I said I could bring my whole self, I said, oh, this is going to be wonderful. I don't have to hide anymore, any parts of me. Or so I thought. Because you see, the company I worked for was a pharmaceutical company. And what I did was, wait for it, marketing. And I soon found that those were two concepts that were suspect, shall we say, within this community. And when you put the two of them together, I must have sold my soul to the devil. So for a while, I just stopped talking about it until I got to know people and they got to know me, and then I felt more comfortable in discussing that part of myself. But I wonder, if somebody were new here, if someone didn't know who UUs were, who didn't already know that this place was their place, would they have stayed? And I'd like to talk a little bit about seeing beyond the thing that makes us question a person or corporation, because you see, in my view of the pharmaceutical company, it's different. The doctors and nurses and physicians and pharmacists who take care of us in our clinics and hospitals and doctors' offices are extremely important. They keep us alive. There's many of us who wouldn't be alive with their help, without their help and support. In the pharmaceutical industry, it's different. We don't work with single individual patients. Our goal is to discover and develop new medications that can help millions of people all over the globe, throughout the world. And this is what drives us. This is what we want to do. If we can find a drug that's truly effective and will help people with various conditions, then we might not only improve the lives of those patients, but of the entire family. It can have that kind of impact. And this is what drove me and my colleagues. This is what we wanted to do. We wanted to make the world a better place. So how do we square that with the impression that many people have of the pharmaceutical industry? And I will say that there's two issues where people are very suspect of the pharmaceutical industry. And the first one is marketing. And I will admit the marketing practices can be deceitful and they can be unuseful, but they don't have to be. I came from an educational background, and I was dealing with new drugs. These drugs had never been used outside of clinical trials. They had only ever been used by the experts in about 2,000, 3,000, 4,000 people worldwide. The question is, how do you make it safe and effective for physicians and pharmacists and other clinicians to use these drugs in their patients? So I made sure that all the marketing or communications materials that I put together explained what the drug was. How did it work? How do you use it? What are the side effects you should look for? What patients should get it? And equally important, what patients should not get it. And I had the wonderful support of my colleagues and clinical folks and regulatory and others, and they supported and encouraged this informative type of marketing education. Now, I will admit there were a few bumps in the road with some of my marketing colleagues, but that's what the credo was for. This was an ethical issue to deal with. Now, the other part of this, the other reason that many people are suspect of the pharmaceutical industry is their pricing policies. And, I gotta agree with you on that one. I did what I could, but those decisions were made way above my pay level. But I would also submit that it's not solely the fault of the pharmaceutical companies. If you want the prices that they have in Europe and the prices that they have in Canada, then the government needs to put the policies in place to make that happen. The pharmaceutical companies will obey it and go along with it. They'll have no choice. And I will admit, this is one of the reasons that I preferred to work in Europe, because I knew once the drug was approved and reimbursed, it was available to all, regardless of their financial situation. And that's truly what we were seeking to do, is for these drugs to be available to the people who need them. And that happens in other places in the world. And I believe so wholeheartedly we have to make that happen here. So how is it that we look beyond, how can we look beyond these two things we don't like about the pharmaceutical company? And sometimes, how do we look beyond one or two things we don't like about a person to see the value there? And there is value there. Where would we be without the vaccines? And now I want to talk about using this concept in a way that makes it, I really struggle with. I find it very, very difficult. And that is, we just most recently had, as President of the United States, a most despicable human being who, as far as I can tell, has absolutely no values whatsoever. But the people who voted for him are not him. And I believe we need to find a way to get beyond that one thing that we know about them in order to understand the person and see what values they bring. If they walked through that door seeking something, don't we owe it to them to help them find it, to see what we have in common, to see what values they have? And I think that that will enrich us, it will enrich them, and hopefully we'll have a more meaningful understanding of what is happening in our world. Now, it could be that they decide not to stay, that they don't share enough of our values. And that's okay. That's their decision. But it should be their decision. It shouldn't be our judgment. And I think it's important that we try, because we cannot just dismiss 70 million people. How can we ever grow together, heal this country, and move forward if we dismiss such a large part of our population? It's our one hope for healing. So my challenge is, how do we maintain our values and be welcoming to all, no matter what life experiences they bring, no matter what thinking processes they have, even if it makes us uncomfortable? I think welcoming them will enrich us. We will hear different perspectives. We'll hear different points of view. And we need to welcome them, whether they are capitalists or communists, Democrats or Republicans, devout Christians or atheists. All need to be welcome here. And as the last line in the reading said, if we join spirits as brothers and sisters, the pain of our aloneness will be lessened. And that does matter. In this spirit, we build community and move towards restoration. So be it.
Sing out praises for the journey, pilgrims we who carry on, searchers in the soul's deep yearnings, like our forebears in their time. We seek out the Spirit's wholeness in the endless human quest. Look inside your soul's the kindling of the hearth fire pilgrims new. Find the Spirit always restless, find it in each mind and heart. Touch and hold that ancient yearning, kindling for a new-found truth. Stand we now upon the threshold, facing futures yet unknown. Hearth behind us, wayside hostel, built by those who knew wild roads. Guard we ere their sacred embers, carried in our minds and hearts.
We extinguish the flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts until we are together again. Thank you.
Again, my friends, remember, we haven't just been to church. We are the church. And when the church is the church, it is nothing more, it is nothing less, it is nothing other than a place in the world that celebrates diversity, and that is stronger in our diversity as we go out with our mission to embrace the diversity of the world. This week in all you do, be the church. Go in grace. Amen.
Sing in my heart all the stirrings of compassion. Blow in the wind, rise in the sea, move in the hand, giving life the shape of justice. Roots hold me close, wings set me free. Spirit of life, come to